It's 7 p.m. We'll bring this Planning and Zoning Commission meeting to order. Matt, if you could do a roll call, please.
All commissioners are present.
Thank you, Matt. Now we'll take any guest comments who would like to come up front and address the Zoning Commission. All right. We have Mr. Matt Hollis here tonight, so I'm just going to change the agenda a little bit so we save his time. We're going to bring the Hollis Motor Company final engineering approval to the Zoning Commission right now. Let me just say, for those that are kind of getting through this process the first time, in our zoning code, we have one final chance to have the development review. It's really about if there's any substantial changes that have happened since we've approved the project. And so what we'll do is we'll have Matt, zoning inspector, kind of walk us through the final development plan review that he conducted with the Hollis Motor Company. Then we'll have our engineer, Mark Ruffner, comment as well. Matt?
All right. I've provided a copy of my report in your packet for this, but I can read it as well. This is for the final engineering review for permit number ZON 2026, and of course I have a typo in there, -014. The applicant seeks approval of the final engineering for the Hollis Motor Company project at 42 West Columbus Street in compliance with the Village of Galena's subdivision code. This engineering review is one of the final pre-construction steps for Mr. Hollis's project to redevelop the lot into the headquarters for the Hollis Motor Company, a classic car dealership, which will bring both tourism and tax revenue to the Village of Galena. Mr. Hollis and his team have worked diligently to address every issue that was brought forth by both KEM and Burgess and Nyepel over the course of 4 review comment cycles that were carried out over the month of July. It's my recommendation that the Village of Galena Planning and Zoning Commission approves the final engineering for 42 West Columbus Street project per the attached engineering review recommendation that's been provided by KEM.
Mark, would you mind coming up and addressing the council?
Yeah, so just in support of what Matt mentioned already, we did provide an engineering review recommendation. We've gone through the plans in detail. They are substantially the same as what was provided in the development plan, and just basically provided the details for construction. So they have addressed all the comments that we had, as well as Burgess and Nyepel, who reviewed the traffic. And so we're now recommending approval of that plan.
Thank you, Mark.
Also, if there are anything that you want to look at more closely, I do have a full-size plan set over there on the table if you want to look at anything. But other than that, we are ready to go.
Does the commission have any questions for anyone here? Mr. Hollis is here to answer questions as well. Anybody has any questions, feel free. I do not. Seeing as we have no questions, do we have a motion to approve the final engineering plan for Hollis Motor Company?
I'll make the motion.
Zach motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Tim second. Matt, you want to call the roll?
Michelle?
Yes.
Zach?
Yes.
Mayor?
Yes.
Tim?
Yes.
Seth?
Yes.
Mr. Hunt, get busy.
All right, you can get started tomorrow.
All right. All right. Thank you.
Yes.
Been great working with you through this process. Thank you, Matt, very much. All right. All right, moving on. Approval of minutes from July 2026. Do we have any questions, concerns about the minutes as provided? If not, do I have a motion to approve the minutes?
So moved.
Tim moved. Second?
Second.
Michelle, second. All in favor of approving the minutes for July 2026, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? All right, Matt, zoning report.
Here, we can do that. Just 1 second, please. I have to flip through all the 15 pages that I gave everybody. Is that something I left out? That would be about right. Just a minute. I will
Got
go
there
get
pretty
it.
fast, didn't we?
Yeah. Just 1 second.
I don't see it on the digital copy of the agenda.
Caught him off guard. Doesn't happen very
It's
often,
just reached the end of the
but I got it.
engineering drawings and it's nothing.
I went and checked that mine.
You know, while Matt hunched down the zoning report, why don't you let me address the Miller Farm fences that are on here, just so you're aware. This is more of an informational thing. And Mark, maybe you can jump in and help a little bit too, but we have, you know, this beautiful subdivision going up at Miller Farm. A lot of the residents would like to put up fences and some have already, okay? Some of those fences have gone into the actual easements that by our zoning code would say that's not a thing that we want you to do. So we're trying to work through that right now with Mark's help, and Tom, our administrator, Tom Marshall, is trying to work through that. We're trying to determine what's the right approach here. Now, it could be that we want to come back to the zoning commission and make some adjustments to our code. If we benchmark our neighbors and we find that we're kind of off kilter on this idea, then we might want to kind of move towards what the standard of care is for this. Or we might have to jump in and help remediate the problem from a village standpoint. Okay. The fact of the matter is the residents have asked for zoning permits and they received them. So it's really on the village to resolve the problem one way or the other. So just want to make sure you're aware. We might come back later with some recommendations. I'm sure we will, what we want to do about that. You gotta.
Do we do an inspection? For example, once they have a survey done and those sorts of things to help prevent that, or I'm assuming it's maybe a no.
It really is an upfront thing. We look at it before it happens, and then a zoning permit is issued. And in this case, they were issued, and I don't know how many. Do you know how many there were, Mark? 10 or 11 that are in this window where they got a permit. Now we're not sure. So a decision
maybe-
has been made. I would say that if we find ourselves out of line with our neighbors, you know, the townships and Sunbury and whatnot, that we would want to take some action to resolve it through zoning code.
Yeah,
But you'll hear more about that our next meeting. All
sounds
right.
good.
Jeff, is there a problem with, I mean, I'm sorry, I couldn't hear all of it.
Mhm.
There's a problem with the fencing? Is that what's going on
The fence has been built in the easement.
in the easement?
Mhm.
But already built?
Yes. So,
And how did that happen?
well, we issued a permit. Okay, and we probably should have questioned it further, but it's our mistake.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
And we'll have to rectify it one way or the other. So just want to make you aware.
Thanks.
Okay. Can you go, so we record that, please? Thank you.
To add a little bit of clarification, there are communities that do specifically allow fences in easements. Like some, for example, Sunbury's code says fences are allowed in easements as long as it's not an issue from the engineer. I don't even know for sure what it says, but they do allow them. Galena's zoning code specifically says they're not allowed. So it's kind of an area where there's not necessarily a right or wrong. It's
Well, if
more
our,
of
if
what
our
the
zoning
community-
code says no, then how did the fence go into the easement?
So part of that is also my error. We had a situation where a long previously constructed fence, we found that it was actually not built as it was permitted and went into a village easement somewhere else. And it was not like a drainage swale. It was just a spot where one of our culverts ran way underneath into a retention pond. We wrote them a letter that said, hey, FYI, this wasn't built correctly. Per your permit, we're going to let it sit because it's not really affecting anything. And heads up, if we ever have to rip this big storm pipe out, we're probably going to tear down your fence and you're going to have to pay for it. I took that situation and incorrectly applied it to the first few fences that we did out at Miller Farm. So that's where the mistake came from.
And then everyone else just kept going down the line.
Yeah, and then once we caught it, I stopped everybody, and we managed to stop a few of them from being built. But we're pausing. You know, if somebody brings me a design for one that's in the easement, I'm not gonna, or with it's in our current zoning code requirements, I'm not gonna stop it. But we have to figure out something for the fences that were built and permitted and are permitted incorrectly. So whatever that resolution may be, we will find out. But in the
Now, the
meantime,
village, actually, would they have to pay to have the fences moved if they had to?
we
We
don't have
would,
any of the details.
it's our issue. We will pay to have anything
I
rectified.
just want to
Yeah.
clarify.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say. It's our mistake.
Yep.
So it's on us to fix it. If there's a financial issue around that, it's on us to do that.
And so in the future,
Yeah.
if something has to be done for drainage or whatever, then the village, then we would pay for that. If there's a construction has to be done with that fence, then we incur that cost.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah, you got it, Michelle. That's
Okay.
right. Any other questions on that? You'll hear about this next month too. So we'll have some kind of resolution between now and our next meeting. And if it means changing our zoning code, we'll bring that to you. Okay. All right. Matt. Oh, yes. You want to come up, sir? Yeah,
Yeah.
we record everything. So if you could please just state your name and address.
Hi, my name is Jeremy Conaway. I'm a a resident of Miller Farm.
Okay. Yeah.
So I kind of figured there'd be more people here about this situation, but
A rainy night.
so do we have any kind of idea when this is going to be resolved? Because I put building a fence on hold because of this situation. And then when we picked our lot, we were told that if it goes on in the easement, if construction has to happen, yeah, we might be responsible for the cost of that fence. But now, if we would have known this situation existed, that may have changed our lot choices. And I guarantee that would have done the same thing with a lot of people because every plot is different. And in my particular plot, if I have to build back from the easement, that cuts 10 feet off the back of my yard and 10 feet off the side. So that is a huge chunk of my lot that I will basically be unable to use because, you know, I have pets and a 3-year-old. So,
Well, the answer to your question, sir, is our village administrator is researching it. I can't imagine it take any more than a week, maybe 2 weeks at the most. If you want to leave your name and address and phone number with Matt, we'll make sure we reach out to you.
okay. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, sir. All right, Matt, we're back to you for the zoning report.
All right. Now that everybody has a copy, I can go through this. Miller Farm, Section 1, no changes yet. Basically, once everything else is done everywhere else in the development, they'll shut down the models and build on the last lot that's left there. Section 2, all the phases are moving along nicely. Section 2A is now completely in the process of development. There's permits for every lot. 2B, 27 of 33, Section 2C, 23 of 24. So Section 2 is coming along nicely. 3A is just getting started. We got 13 of the 32 parcels in the first section. And everything else is still waiting to get started, but we've got submittals for plats and everything else for everything except for Phase 6, which I assume is probably going to happen pretty soon. Minor subdivisions, 288 and 300 North Walnut are both still coming along really well. We haven't had any issues with them since the initial ones were corrected, so we're good there. As you know, the Hollis Motor Company project was just approved, so that's going to start this week. No violations or anything like that to report, and we talked about the fence situation, and there's basically been zoning permits for stuff out at Miller Farm. That's about it. Not much else is going on, at least from a permitting standpoint.
Thank you, Matt. Any questions for Matt?
Do we have a rough idea when Romanelli and Hughes will start doing anything at Arrowhead Golf Course?
October.
October.
I just received their preliminary plan today in paper form, so we're starting our reviews on that, and we'll start our rounds of comments with them. I would say, how much do you need for your first review? 3 weeks. All right. So there you go. First comments will be due 3 weeks from now, and we'll go from there. Hopefully they nailed it, and we don't have to do a lot of back and forth. But this was one where normally they would do that preliminary plan as part of their development plan, but since it was such a risky submittal, they decided to hold off on the prelim plan for a little bit. But now they're ready to go. So that's where we are. Yeah, and I'm going to be meeting with their permitting team in September to kind of walk them through all our processes so they know what's going on. So should be in pretty good shape for them.
I have one question. For the Miller Farms in the future, before you do your more permits, like this gentleman's had. So before the people buy the homes, we'll know that they can't go in the easement for the new ones.
We will make sure that whatever the ultimate decision is, for example, if we update our zoning code and decide that yes, we are going to allow everything to go in the easements, then I will make sure we push out notification to MI so they know exactly what to communicate to future buyers and people who are.
Or we
moving
could
in.
just grandfather. We could make an exception for the ones that have already gotten permitted. Correct.
You probably don't want to do that. Then you're going to have fences doing this.
Right. I
Right.
know.
So we will, once we know what our solution is going to be, we're going to make sure everybody's on the same page. So yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah.
And to further that point, MI is aware of the issue. We've made sure the vice president knows that this is going on.
And I guess my one question is, so if something has to happen, they have to have construction, and I'm so sorry that's happened, but if they have to take up the fence for sewer or whatever, then would the village be responsible for all of those variances?
So from a permitting standpoint, so right now, if we decided all of those homeowners who built fences were permitted and given the official letter by me that basically says, if the utility company has to come in and tear this down, the homeowner has to pay to replace the fence. Because that's in a real estate situation, if you build something in an easement, you technically don't have access to build anything in that spot of ground if you're a homeowner. So whoever has the easement can take whatever it is that you put in there out whenever they need to, or really want to, but mostly need. So what that all means is if we leave every one of those situations as is, if our stormwater line collapses and we have to replace that culvert in somebody's backyard, we go in. If we are able to plan ahead and let them know, then they could make some arrangements with their fence to make sure their animals can't get out or whatever. But realistically, we could show up day of, rip it out, and they're on the hook for it. So what I provided them was a letter that states that, and also states that if the contractor screws up something during construction, the contractor has to pay to fix that as well. Those are in every one of the approved permit packets right now, and everyone has signed off on that. They've all been cool with that risk. If we decide that we're going to change those, there's a couple that I caught before they were built, and they updated their site plans to stop at the easements and everything. I gave them the emails showing that we revised everything, a letter that says, hey, we're removing these prior conditions, and I gave them a new zoning certificate that doesn't have any special terms of it, and then I provide them with the whole packet that shows their original permit crossed out and everything. So I'm being very, very thorough on everything because, I was the one that screwed up to begin with.
Well, because a 10 by 10 foot, that's huge. That's a cost to your property, like for resale even. So I just want to make sure that, yeah, okay.
But we're making sure things get cleared up one way or the other. So
And quickly.
yes, as quick as we can.
Anybody else? Next meeting scheduled for September 16th, 7 PM. Do I have a motion to adjourn this meeting?
So moved.
Zach, do I have a second? Tim second, all in favor of adjournment, say aye.
Aye.
We are adjourned at 7:19 PM. Have a good night, folks.
Okay. Hey, Matt.
Yep.
Somebody, Nate Reynolds bought the property on Walnut Street with the big fence and everything that's been torn down.
Mhm.
I've noticed that. He's gonna be talking to you about, okay.
I was looking into it. I found something first. I was surprised at how simple the answer was, and I went, well, I can't. So I'm digging into it.
And also, anyway, so I want my name.
Yeah.
No, no, no. I think mine are on. Too. It will tell you, like,